We're diving into a case today where justice wasn't found through brilliant detective work, not initially anyway. It was served by something much more primal, a storm. So let's set the scene. Picture Alexandria, Egypt. We're in the Borg El Arab district. It's late 2020.
Yeah, and it's around 10 p.m. But
Mhm.
this isn't just any night. There's this incredibly severe winter storm raging.
You described it as the thunder wasn't just noise, it was physical.
Absolutely. Shaking the houses
Mm-hmm.
and the rain. Relentless, just absolutely hammering down, drowning everything out.
And it's this storm, this absolute deluge, that forces this 76-year-old tenant, Mr. Muhammad, into a really difficult spot.
Right. He'd been living in this house for, what, about a year and a half? Maybe a bit more?
And suddenly water is just pouring through his ceiling.
Exactly. Pouring in. So he has to go up to the roof, a part of the house he apparently almost never went near.
And what he finds up there, it's not just a simple leak source, is it?
No, not at all. The roof was, well, basically cluttered, just covered in old construction debris. Sand, bags of cement, bits of wood, like someone started a project and just stopped.
Preparation for maybe another floor that never got built?
Probably. And this mess, this debris, it turns out to be absolutely key.
So Mr. Muhammad gets up there trying to find the leak.
And he sees it pretty quickly. A huge pile of sand, completely soaked by the rain, had basically slid down and was blocking the main drainage pipe. That's where the water was backing up.
Okay, so simple fix, right? Just move the sand.
That's what he thought. He grabs a shovel, just planning to shift it a little, clear the blockage. But as he digs in, the wet sand moves, and something else is revealed.
Something pale, organic.
Yeah, sticking out of the sand. And he realizes, with this dawning horror, it looks like a skull.
Oh, wow. I mean, your first instinct must be maybe an animal, a large dog.
For sure. You try to rationalize it, but he just nudged the sand around it a bit more, and it became instantly horribly clear. Unmistakably human. A skull, still connected to skeletal remains, buried shallowly right there under all that sand and debris.
So the storm, the sheer volume of rain eroded just enough cover.
Precisely. A 4-year-old secret, basically washed away by a clogged drain pipe. The whole crime just exposed.
He must have panicked, started yelling.
He did, frantically yelling for help. But the storm, the wind, it was just too loud. No one could possibly hear him.
So what does he do? He can't stay up there.
No, he doesn't even try to dig more or wait. He just bolts, runs down out of the house and straight to the nearest police station, the Borg El Arab station.
And the police reaction?
Immediate.
Yeah.
They understood the gravity right away. Police, forensic experts.
Yeah.
They descend on the scene, treat the rooftop like a proper crime scene.
Okay, so now it's a professional excavation.
Right. Carefully removing the debris, layer by layer, the stuff that had hidden the body for so long.
And they find
A complete human skeleton. It's in a state of full decomposition, as you expect after that long, but also, crucially, a pair of trousers. Small trousers, buried right there with the remains.
trousers. Okay. And the initial forensic report, what did that tell them?
It was incredibly detailed, very meticulous work. And it gave them 2 immediate, really critical pieces of information. This wasn't just found remains anymore. This was suddenly, well, potentially a solvable cold case.
What were those key details?
Okay, first, the basics. The victim was male, tragically young, estimated age between 12 and 13 years old.
12 or 13?
Yeah. And the time of death. They estimated it happened more than 4 years ago, consistent with the decomposition.
Okay, so a young boy missing for years. But there was more, wasn't there? Something specific about the body itself.
There was. The physical evidence told a much deeper, sadder story. The cause of death was clearly severe blunt force trauma. The skull was badly fractured, crushed from powerful blows. Extremely. But beyond the cause of death, the forensic team noted something else just by examining the bones, particularly the leg bones.
This was.
Clear evidence of a physical disability. The structure indicated the victim had suffered from a noticeable mobility impairment.
That's incredibly specific. That must have narrowed things down significantly for the police.
Hugely. It takes you from a general pool of missing children to a very specific subset. But there was one more thing. Something really strange.
An anomaly.
A deeply unsettling one. They found sand residue packed tightly into the mouth and nasal cavity area of the skull.
Packed in. Not just residual from the burial.
No, this looked deliberate, like someone actively forced sand into the victim's airways.
Why? What does that suggest?
It suggests, well, a chilling level of intent, maybe to ensure death, perhaps suffocation after the initial attack, or maybe just panic and malice. It points to a killer acting with extreme violence and maybe fear.
Okay, so the police now have this incredibly precise profile. A boy, 12 or 13, died about 4 years ago, severe head trauma, mobility impairment, sand in the airways.
Exactly. And with that profile, they started digging into the missing persons files from around that time. Word also starts spreading in the neighborhood about the discovery on the roof.
And that leads to the father.
It does, the man named Salem. He hears about it, understands the potential connection, and rushes to the station. He's been living this nightmare for 4 years.
And the profile matches his missing son.
Perfectly. Devastatingly so. His son, Raby, who often went by the nickname Adele, Raby was exactly 12 when he disappeared 4 years earlier.
And the specific details, the impairment.
Matched exactly. Raby had a known mobility impairment, but also Raby was completely mute. He couldn't speak, couldn't make a sound.
Oh my God. Mute and with a mobility issue.
Yes. And then the final confirmation. The clothing.
The trousers they found buried with him.
Salem immediately identified them. Especially the trousers. They were quite distinctive, apparently. He knew they were his sons.
Just imagine that poor man. Searching all over Egypt for 4 years.
Chasing down every rumor, any report of a disabled child, a mute child.
Only to find out his son was buried literally next door. On the roof of the house, right beside his own home.
The tragedy is almost unimaginable. And that horrifying proximity, of course, immediately shifts the focus of the investigation.
To the house itself, the history of that property.
Right. The current tenant, Mr. Muhammad, the man who found the body. He's quickly ruled out. He wasn't there 4 years ago. The police needed to know who was living there back then.
A tenant's from 4 years prior.
Exactly. The family occupying the house right around the time Raby disappeared.
And that leads them to one person in particular.
It does. The investigation zeroes in on the teenage son of that family, a boy named Muhammad, who would have been about 16 at the time Raby went missing.
And this Muhammad, he wasn't exactly unknown in the neighborhood.
No, definitely not. And unfortunately, for all the wrong reasons, police records immediately flag him. He had a history.
What kind of history?
A deeply disturbing one. He'd actually been arrested previously and even served a short jail sentence for attempted indecent assault against another child in the same neighborhood.
He was convicted.
Well, no, that's the thing. He was released due to a lack of conclusive evidence, but legally released doesn't mean socially accepted, does it?
Not in a tight-knit community, no. What happened then?
The neighborhood was apparently convinced of his guilt, despite the court outcome. After his release, the community basically mobilized. They put immense pressure on Muhammad and his entire family.
To the point where...
To the point where the family was essentially forced to pack up and leave the area completely.
And when did this forced move happen?
Get this. Exactly 4 years prior, right around the precise time that young Raby went missing.
Okay, so the timeline fits perfectly. The history fits disturbingly well.
It does. So even without direct physical evidence, yet linking Muhammad to the skeleton on the roof, the police are operating on very strong instinct here. You've got proximity, you've got the timing, you've got this documented history of targeting vulnerable children.
It's pointing overwhelmingly in one direction.
Absolutely. So investigators track down the family in their new location, find Muhammad, and bring him in for questioning.
And his reaction when they arrest him, when they confront him about the body found on his old roof?
It's interesting. Initially, he seems completely calm, almost detached. He denies everything, claims he knows absolutely nothing about it.
Like he genuinely doesn't remember. Or just a good liar.
It's hard to say, right? I mean, this happened 4 years earlier when he was 16. Maybe he had managed to just bury the memory, compartmentalize it somehow, or maybe he was just putting on an act.
But his denial was firm at first.
Rock solid. He wasn't cracking. So the investigators realized they needed a different approach. They couldn't rely on physical evidence they didn't quite have yet.
So they switched tactics.
Yeah, they went for a psychological strategy, a calculated bluff, essentially.
What did they tell him?
They told him convincingly that they had irrefutable physical evidence, fingerprints, DNA, forensic proof that absolutely tied him, Muhammad, directly to Raby's body on that roof.
Even though they didn't actually have that yet?
Not definitively, no, but they presented it as fact. They manufactured the certainty they needed to break through his denial.
And did it work?
It did. That lie, that assertion of absolute proof. That was the key. It completely shattered his composure, broke his denial.
And he confessed.
He did. And the details that came out, they provide this absolutely chilling window into what happened.
What was the motive? He was only 16?
According to the confession, he was heavily involved in substance abuse at the time. Drugs. And driven by these Well, these unstable and dangerous compulsions.
And why Raby? Why target him specifically?
This confirms what the forensics suggested and what the police suspected. He chose Rady precisely because the boy was mute and had that mobility impairment.
He saw him as an easy target.
Exactly. He believed Raby wouldn't be able to effectively fight back, couldn't scream for help, couldn't tell his father or the police what had happened. It was a horrifying calculation based on vulnerability.
How did he even get him up to the roof?
Tragically simple. He knew Raby loved birds, and Muhammad apparently kept some birds up on that roof, so he just lured him up there, told him they could play with the birds.
Just pure manipulation of a trusting child?
Yes. And once they were alone up there, secluded on the rooftop, the situation turned violent.
What happened?
Muhammad started trying to remove Raby's clothes. The boy, understandably, became distressed, scared, and tried to resist, tried to get away.
Even though he couldn't shout for help.
Right. But Muhammad panicked. He feared that somehow Raby might still be able to alert someone, maybe make noise, maybe get down and communicate non-verbally. He couldn't risk it.
So in that moment of panic...
He grabbed the nearest weapon. There was construction debris everywhere. Remember, he grabs a large stone, maybe a brick, and just attacked Raby. Struck him violently, repeatedly, on the head.
Until he was dead.
Yes. And then comes the confirmation of that really disturbing forensic detail.
The sand.
Muhammad confessed that after the attack, after making sure Raby was no longer moving, he grabbed handfuls of sand from the debris pile and deliberately packed it into the boy's mouth and nose.
Why? To make absolutely sure.
That seems to be the reason he gave. To ensure suffocation, to make absolutely certain Raby had expired, just an extra layer of brutality born from panic.
And then he just buried him right there.
Quickly buried him in that existing pile of sand and debris, covered him up, and then acted like nothing happened.
Just went back down, carried on.
Unbelievably, yes. And the sources highlight something even more chilling. Later that same day or evening, when Raby's father, Salem, realized his son was missing, and the initial desperate search began.
Muhammad joined in.
Muhammad actually joined the search party, helping the frantic father look for the very boy he had just murdered and buried mere feet away on the roof right next door. The audacity is staggering.
Yeah. So the confession ties it all together. The forensics, the timeline, the motive.
Everything. It backed up the physical evidence. They did have the skull fracture, the location, eventually the clothing ID, and filled in the horrifying gaps only the killer could know, like the packed sand.
Which led to the trial.
Exactly. Based on the confession, corroborated by the forensic findings, Muhammad was brought to trial. And justice, finally, was served for Raby 4 long years later.
But that 4-year gap, it had a really significant legal consequence, didn't it?
It really did. It's a profound point about timing and the law. Think about it. If Muhammad had been caught immediately after the murder, back when he was 16.
He would have been tried as a juvenile.
Correct. And under the laws relevant here, as a juvenile, he wouldn't have been eligible for the death penalty, regardless of the crime's severity.
But because the crime remained hidden, buried under sand and malice for 4 years.
Until that storm forced Mr. Muhammad up onto the roof.
Muhammad was 20 years old by the time the body was discovered and the case proceeded to trial.
Making him legally an adult, and therefore eligible for the maximum penalty the law allowed or required for such a crime, which he subsequently received. The delay, caused essentially by an act of nature, fundamentally changed the legal outcome.
It really underscores how every single detail uncovered by the forensics team was critical.
Absolutely. That initial report, the age estimate, the mobility impairment, pinpointing the victim, the crushed skull showing the violence, that bizarre detail of the sand confirming the killer's specific actions. Each piece was vital. Vital for identification, vital for securing the confession, and ultimately vital for justice.
So it leaves you contemplating this strange, almost eerie interception of what human intention and the power of the natural world, fate perhaps?
It does, doesn't it? I mean, this terrible secret was deliberately concealed, hidden away under tons of debris by the killer. It was meant to stay hidden forever.
Protected by human action.
Exactly. But then comes this uncontrollable force of violent rainstorm, something completely indifferent to human secrets, and it triggers a chain of events. A simple roof leak forces an innocent man into the path of this hidden crime.
And the truth comes pouring out, literally washed clean by the rain. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other secrets carefully buried by people are just sitting there, waiting?
Waiting for the right storm, maybe, or the right flood, or just the right coincidence to bring them unexpectedly into the light.